than 3 million people flooded streets worldwide to protest President Donald Trump. Protesters in every corner of the world marching in solidarity, with more than 500,000 demonstrating in Washington, D.C. alone. It was a stunning show of peaceful protests. Protesters say they're worried the Trump administration will roll back progress on equal pay for women, reproductive rights, and immigration. It was all peaceful, and police say not a single arrest was made. Celebrities also showed up in opposition of the new commander-in-chief. Their words now landing them in hot water.
Yes, I am outraged. Yes, I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
The Secret Service says it will open an investigation into Madonna after that speech. What impact will those words and the historic turnout of the Women's March have in the U.S., and how will President Trump heal the divide? That's our topic this half hour. We want to hear from you on our Fox 26 Facebook page. You can also weigh in on Twitter. Send me a tweet at Sally Mack, Fox 26. Joining us now, our senior legal analyst, Chris Tritico, Democratic media consultant, Mustafa Tamiz, and Republican strategist and public policy analyst, Jackie Bally. All right, President Trump spoke a lot in his inaugural address about unity and unifying the country.
Yeah, let's get right to this, and good morning. The inauguration of a president should be full of pomp and circumstance, and certainly this was, and we had another peaceful transition of power, and it should be. What I don't like, Mustafa Tamiz, is to see the people of the United States protesting anytime we have a transfer of power to a new president. The speech that President Trump gave, I think that everyone was looking to see a unifying speech to heal the great divide that this country has. Did it do that?
Well, historically, speeches like that reach out to the other side, and it didn't. He basically continued to reach out to his base, and you saw people, not just in this country, but around the world, came out in strong opposition. So it was a historic opportunity for him to try to do some kind of healing process, and he didn't do that, and so that's why you saw protests around the world. Millions of people came out.
What about that? Did you see the speech as a unifying speech to reaching out to the other side, or was it just back to the base that elected him?
Of course it was a unifying speech. He talked about Christians, he talked about being American, he talked about unification. He said if you have God and patriotism in your heart, then we will be a unified country. He said that repeatedly. So anyone who says that it was not unifying is looking for that. You had 60-something Democrats who decided they weren't even attending before the man even said a word. Why? Because not only did they lose the presidency, they lost so many other seats as well. You saw what he did in the first segment. That's what his party is doing. When they hear facts, they attack the messenger. They don't want to hear facts, and they're not listening to our president.
All right, let's move on to the Women's March on Washington. It actually turned into a Women's March in 70 countries and cities all over the United States. This was started by one woman who said, I'm going to go the day after the inauguration, and turned into a really big deal worldwide. We heard what Madonna just said. Several other people made very caustic things. Don't you lose your entire message when people like Madonna get up and say stuff like that? Nobody heard anything else.
Yeah, it's crass, right? I mean, it's undefensible, and Madonna should apologize, and anybody that says something like that should. Millions of people across the world came out, and so it's very hard to deny that, because these people came out on their own. There's 50,000 people in Austin. There's 22,000 people right here in Houston. So just to say they're just Democrats or this is some kind of organized thing, this is an organic movement in response to what President Trump is saying. And so you have to acknowledge that, and he's going to have to do something because he's in leadership. He is the establishment now.
All right, let me go to Sally. I'm going to come to you in just a minute. Let me go to Sally. She's monitoring our social media.
Okay, lots of comments on this all over social media yesterday. People weighing in about their thoughts on the women's marches. Jennifer says it's better than burning people's property, that's for sure. Dawn calling it ridiculous. Michelle says it needs a new name, as their protest is not every woman's protest. It's a liberal protest, not women's issues. It's dictated by liberals, she says. Other people I heard commenting yesterday on my Facebook page saying that they were proud that it was peaceful and everybody had the right to be out there and protesting.
It was peaceful. There wasn't any rioting. There wasn't anybody blowing anything up, although there was a threat of blowing something up, but it was peaceful.
If I can use my colleague's words, it was crass. Not only were Madonna's words crass, but several other speakers that they highlighted, their signs were crass. They had the F word throughout a lot of their speeches. So if we're going to actually take this seriously, that they want to actually have an impact, a positive impact on policy, I'm not going to take, if I had a daughter, to a place where people are threatening to blow up the White House, using the F-bomb, and using curse words in a majority of their statements.
The President of the United States uses the F-bomb. The President of the United States has been very crass throughout his campaign. The President of the United States uses things on his Twitter. So it's very hard to use decorum when he's the one that's led the charge in lowering our standards of public discourse.
Let's get back to what was the purpose of this march. Why are we here? What were the women marching to do? Where are we going to go from here?
Well, look, I mean, this was an organic movement. People came out because they felt that they had to do something.
Where do they go?
But they also excluded any woman who was pro-life. So it's not organic. It's not embracing all women, because you have a majority of women who voted for President Trump, and you have a majority of women who actually embrace pro-life, at least in our state. So the fact that they decided that anyone who is pro-life, they were not going to have them in sponsorship of this actual movement, you're deleting half of your voters, half of your female voters right there.
Yeah, majority of women didn't vote for President Trump. Only
I said
42%.
in Texas. I said in Texas.
Okay. Look, at the end of the day, like any other movement, including President Trump's movement, are organic, and initially they don't have a shape. People just came out on the streets. This is the first day. He has a great obligation. His great obligation to try to heal this country. He should.
His speech was very healing, very unifying. Unfortunately, when you have people dropping the F-bomb, they're not going to listen to it.
All right, we're going to see. We're going to leave it right there. We're going to see where this goes. As Mustafa said, you know, movements like this, we'll see what happens. But if it doesn't grow into something, it dies yesterday. And then we'll see where it goes from there. Sally, we'll be back in about 20 minutes, wrap up and talk about the president's first 100 days. But join us right now on Facebook Live. We dropped it 2 weeks in a row, but we promise it's going to happen today.
You can ask our panel any questions you want. Just keep it clean, and we'll see you back here in about 20 minutes.